So these are some of the supplies and inspiration for this next DIY. And one of my inspirations for this DIY actually were these little plant pots. And these were just some plant pots from some Dollar Tree cacti that I purchased. And I used what was in them, and then I held on to the planters because I knew that I would come up with some kind of DIY eventually later on down the line, so I didn't toss them. And so this was basically my inspiration for this next DIY. So what I'm going to be doing is hitting them with a coat of spray paint. Of course, I'm going to take them out back and spray them down. And then I'm going to line them halfway with this jute twine, and then the other halfway I'm going to use some of this pearl ribbon, and that's going to give it that sort of rustic farmhouse look that I'm trying to achieve here. And then what I'm also going to be using, or what you're going to be needing as supplies, is this mirror. I can't turn it around because I don't want to blind you with the glare, but this is just an 8x10 mirror from the Dollar Tree, and also an 8x10 picture frame from the Dollar Tree. So I'm going to take out the mirror and be inserting it into the picture frame. So these little potted planters are going to be acting as the legs, sort of, you know, to the tray. And then lastly, I'm going to be adhering some of these signs to convert it into my tray. So this is all the supplies that you're going to be using for this next DIY, and you'll have to stick around and stay tuned to the reveal and see how that turns out. Trying to spray paint out here against the wind and the environment. It was not a bright idea. It's kind of a windy day. I ended up using more product on everywhere else but what I was actually spray painting, but at least I got it done. Okay, so now that I gave everything sprayed down with a coat of paint and put it back together, this is what it all looks like. I covered the mirror with the paper towel just so that you don't get the glare, but I put the frame together, and what I did was I removed the mirror from inside this frame, and I just put it inside the other frame, and I left the matting inside because I like the way it looks against the white frame itself. And then these are the little plastic planters pots, and I'm just gonna start wrapping it with some spool, maybe like 1/3 of the way with some of this jute twine rather, and then I'm gonna stop, and then I'm gonna go the rest of the way with this pearl beading. So I'm gonna do that right now. All you need to do here is just add like a very thin beading right at the very top of the planter pot, and that's where you're gonna start your jute twine. And that's it. You don't have to glue anymore. You're just gonna continue to go around with the jute until you feel your where you need to be at, and then you cut it off and glue it at the end. So I'm just going to continue to go around with the jute and push it together. Every time you go down another row, push the jute up because it's going to slide and it's going to expose, you know, the paint. And so that's not, it's okay if you can see a little bit of the paint because that's the purpose of you know, painting the planters in the first place, because otherwise we wouldn't have had to. But you don't want to show too much. And so you're just going to keep going around until you feel that it meets your approval. Okay, so I feel like this is as far down as I would like to go with this. So I'm just going to give it a snip right here. And this is where I'm going to end it. And then I'm just going to put a nice little bead of glue just like I did at the top. And I'm going to seal it off. And that's it, guys. So now the rest of the way I'm going to go with the pearls. And this is what you should have, guys. And just remember that when you start to glue the jute twine onto the planter, leave a little tiny space on the top, like a little ledge, because, you know, you have to give it, you know, room to adhere to the tray itself. So you can't glue the jute all the way to the top. So now, just like we did with the jute, we're going to start out gluing a line, and then we're going to adhere the pearls. But with the pearls, you can't just wrap it around like the jute and then glue it at the end. You gotta glue every single strand down, otherwise it's not gonna stick. So each time you go around, you gotta glue it down. So, and you're going to want to try to stay in line with the jute. So where you ended off with the jute is where you're going to start your pearls. And you want to try to keep it as level as possible. And it's okay if you get a couple of little webs from the glue. It happens. The rest of the pearls will cover it. So it's not the end of the world. So those things are inevitable when you're dealing with hot glue. They're so annoying. They get all over the place, these things. But fortunately, they come off pretty easily. So then when you get, I just wanted to show you that when you get here to where the two pearls meet, where it, you know, the beginning and the end meet, you're just going to go down a row. And you're going to keep wrapping. And you're going to continue to keep on wrapping until you get to the bottom of the planter pot. And that's all there is to it, guys. Nothing to it but to do it. It's not rocket science. You just got to keep drawing a line with your glue gun and gluing down the pearls until you get to the bottom row. And so I'm going to continue on doing this off camera, and I'll be back to show you the end result. All right, guys, so here's what we end up with, and I just think it looks so stinking cute. It's so rustic, so farmhouse, and just so cute. Now, I will say this, a little disclaimer. These are the rest of them. Now, if you notice, I only painted the outside, so the inside of each planter, you can see its original color that it came in. And so I did notice that because of the color difference, they are a slight difference in size. So I'm hoping that it will not make the project turn out to be wonky. But I mean, worst case scenario, it'll add character to the whole project in itself, because anything that's homemade is not supposed to be perfect anyways, and so it's not going to bother me a whole lot. But just for argument's sake and for the purpose of the video, I will tell you, if you're going to go ahead and duplicate this project, you might want to go ahead and make sure that your planters are all the same color. And they do have these in white, by the way. These the little plants. I'm just happen to be working with whatever I have on hand. So I had these 4, and they happen to be 2 of each color set, and so that's why I gave them a coat of spray paint. So now we're ready to move on to the next part of this project, which is to attach the legs to the tray. And so how we're going to be doing this is, sorry for moving the camera, guys, but I'm going to be adding some of this Fix-All adhesive from the Dollar Tree. and some hot glue as well. So I'm just going to pour a little bit of Fix All adhesive to my popsicle stick, add it all around the perimeter of the planter, and then I'm going to add hot glue just to give it that extra security, because you know, this is where honestly, the legs or the feet or whatever you want to call them, they're going to be carrying all the weight of everything that gets placed on the tray. So everything depends on these little feet giving out. So I want them to be extra secure. So I'm going to be adding some Fix All adhesive, which is quite frankly very compatible to the E6000. It's supposed to be almost equivalent to the E6000. I, however, happen to think it's less toxic because the E6000 is just, whew. I appreciate working with this glue. I've used it in the past and it works really well. So I'm going to continue to use this Fix All adhesive. So let's get started gluing this on, and then we'll continue from there. So we're just going to add some of this Fix All adhesive to the popsicle stick, and hopefully we'll be able to glide it on a little better without making too much of a disaster like I've already started making here, but nothing that we can't fix. So, and I hope that I'm getting this in the shot. I have a little bit way too much glue on my popsicle stick, but you know what? Better more than not enough, because we really want to adhere this to the tray, and we want it to, you know, stick really well, because like I said, this is where all the weight is going to be on. So we need to try to get it as secure as possible. So now that we got the Fix All laid down, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put a dot of hot glue in every corner, and I'm going to try to work fast because the hot glue dries really quickly. And then I'm going to put in the middle as well, and then I'm going to put it right here in the corner because I want it to be seen. I want the legs to be seen, so you know, it's going to add character to the whole project in itself. So I hope you guys can see. So I'm just pressing it and holding it down. Okay, change of plans, guys. I had to reposition the little feet, the foot, because the way I had placed it initially, I had wanted to put it on top of the frame itself so that you can see it more. But placing it like that would make it wobbly, because this part that's inside would not touch, it wouldn't be flat to the tray itself. So I had to reposition it. So I'm just going to be placing them in the inner corners of the tray. Okay, so 2 down, 2 to go. So we're just pouring the Fix All adhesive around the side, and we're going to put a generous amount, and then really quickly we're going to be putting the hot glue on top. The hot glue is just for the instant gratification and bonding, because the hot glue dries instantly, and it'll work together with the Fix All so that it'll make a permanent seal. So you're just going to put it there and press it in place for a couple of seconds. Not too hard, because you don't want to break the glass. So now we're going to do the last one. Same procedure, going around the edge with the Fix All adhesive, and then adding a layer of the hot glue on top as well. Okay. And So while it's drying, you could clean up some of those webs and stuff that it has, and give it a couple of seconds, and then you're gonna flip it over. Okay, so I flipped it over gently onto its legs, and I just put the sheet of computer paper there to cover the mirror so that you won't get a glare. And so I'm really happy with the way that it came out. It's pretty sturdy and it's pretty steady. So now I'm just going to be following the same method and procedure that I did to put on the legs. I'm going to be gluing on these little plaques to the mirror using the Fix All adhesive as well as the hot glue. So I'm going to be, I have two Believe and two Home. So I'm going to be putting the two Believe facing each other and the two Homes facing each other on opposite ends. So basically, and make sure that the wording is outside. The one that say Believe says believe in yourself and you will be unstoppable. And then the one that say Home says home is a gift that lasts forever. So I'm going to be gluing them around like that. So I'm going to get started. So let's put a nice generous amount of the Fix All adhesive on the bottom of this plaque, and I'm going to try to spread it with this popsicle stick to give it an even coverage. And you see, this is what I wanted to avoid, was it dripping down, and it still dripped down anyway. Ugh, I hate working with glue. Okay, so now that we got an even coverage there, now we're going to go ahead and put some hot glue. And we're going to add some to each corner first, and then work down the center. And what do you know? I'm out of glue. Hang on, guys. Okay, so hopefully that should be enough glue, and we're going to try to get it placed down onto the tray and center it as best as we can. Okay, so we're going to do the same thing for the next one, and I'm going to try not to make no drips this time because we want to hope that this Fix All adhesive is going to be enough for all 4 frames anyway. So I'm going to spread it out evenly. And the beauty of it is that this glue does dry clear, so, and it is workable. So okay, so now that we got our Fix All adhesive on, we're going to apply the hot glue now as well. And we're going to put some mainly in the corners because that's where we want it to adhere securely. And we're going to put some, hold on a second, hot glue and adhesive. I forgot where it meets because it's going to be connecting to the other plaque. Okay. Okay, so I turned it around so you could get a better view, and so basically we're going to just be repeating the same step and going around, and so you're basically just kind of like puzzling it together, except that these pieces don't exactly fit in together like a puzzle, so to speak. So You gotta try to, I was supposed to play around with it a little bit more before I started adding the glue to see exactly where I wanted placement, but I didn't, and that's what you call trial and error when you do DIYs, especially when you're doing it on camera and recording it. It doesn't work out the way you expected, but you make the best of it and you make it work. So we're just basically doing the same process, and I'm going to be going around now with the hot glue. And so yeah, you want to get the corners and then work your way towards the center quickly, because this is going to help bond the fix-all. And make sure that when you're placing it, again, I did the same thing and I forgot to put the fix-all on the side, because this is going to be touching the other part. So okie dokie. Make sure that the letters are facing outside, which is what I was going to say when you're placing. And you're just going to hold it there for a couple of seconds to make sure it bonds. Okay guys, had to bust open another tube of fix-all adhesive. So this is the final one. So we're going, and this one, we're going to be generous, and we're going to put fix-all on both corners, because this one has to adhere to both sides. So we're going to give it a nice generous spread of this fix-all, and then we're going to add the hot glue. Okay, so now for the hot glue on the ends, in the middle, and on the sides. Okie doke. So no, this is not going to work. Hold on a second, guys. Alright guys, it appears we've reached the end of the road, and this is the completed project outlook. And so I'm going to let it dry completely, and then I'm going to be removing the paper and cleaning the glass and all that good stuff, and I'll meet you back here for the big reveal. So this is basically a quick overall view of the finished product, and we're going to let it dry, and I'll meet you back here. So this is the final reveal, guys, and this is how the project looks all completed. My little tray. I did go ahead and add those little lace ribbons. I just thought it needed a little extra touch, and I added some lace bows on the four corners of the tray. But I just think it paired off really well together between the twine and the pearls and the lace. I just think it looks so shabby chic and dainty farmhouse decor, and I'm really liking the way that it came out, and I hope you guys enjoyed it as well, and I'll talk to you all soon in the next one. Bye now.